So something you always hear on YouTube is how to do this and how to do that, and nobody really tells you about the mistakes they've made or the things they've learned as they've gotten to where they are. You just see the final product and that's all anybody ever knows. But a lot of mistakes happen in order to gain information, to be able to do things better. So today I'm gonna talk about my top mistakes that I've made since filming real estate. Stick around. What's up and welcome back everybody. My name is Original Dobo and here on my channel I do drone and tech related content. So if that's at all interesting, you may want to hit that subscribe button before you leave my video. So I got my 107 license back in October of last year, and from October to literally December I did absolutely nothing with that license. I created a company called Apex Aerial Imaging. I'll include a link down in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, so I created that business and I didn't do anything with it. It just sort of sat for a long time unattended and I wasn't making any money. I thought it would be really easy to say, hey, I've got this license and go ahead realtors, use me. I can fly a drone, but I was really wrong. So I want to talk about the mistakes I've made and hopefully help you all not make the same mistakes if you're going to follow down the same path that I did. So my business model has been surrounded around working with realtors, doing new real estate or existing real estate, taking photos, doing video, and that's sort of what my proposal was to many realtors, except for I wasn't getting any realtors to work with me when I first started. And the reason was I was offering them something that maybe their existing photographer could already do. A lot of times when people have house photos taken, they probably have a photographer that probably offers more than just aerial photography. And quite frankly, yes, aerial photography is a big portion of what I do, but it's only about literally 15% of my business. My business really surrounds around videos that I do for homes and photos. And I gotta say, I'm not even that good with photos. I'm really getting these jobs solely because of video. And I'll touch more on that here in a little bit. But I wanted to go through and talk about the mistakes that I made. So mistake number one that I made was thinking that I can just get away with flying my drone and making buku bucks, which that's not gonna happen. Realtors want value. And if I can't provide them value, they're probably not going to use me. They're going to opt to go with somebody else. So I was thinking about charging $75 a shoot for just aerial photography. And then I quickly found that many of the houses in my area are about sub $250,000. So if you subtract 75 or whatever I was charging plus the photographer's fee, they may not want to use you because they don't see the value in that. It's just a thought. So if I could suggest anything, don't be too prideful with your price. Be willing to accept, something to get a portfolio going. I didn't have a portfolio other than just aerial photography of landscapes, and that really doesn't work very well on houses. Now, if you want to take photos only and you want to maximize just the drone portion of your business, I would highly suggest you go check out Billy's videos that he's doing on Drone Deploy, because what he's doing, he's taking more of a commercial approach and he's not looking to work with realtors or do what I'm doing. So I highly recommend you check out his videos. His is going to be that commercial approach and all about, just from the aerial perspective and mapping and things like that. So check him out because he's got some great tutorials on how to use Drone Deploy, which is really useful if you're going that angle. But mine has always been about real estate and houses and helping realtors sell these listings that they're getting. So first things first, pricing. You got to have competitive pricing. You have to know your market. I did a lot of research in my area after getting a lot of no's to determine what people are doing, locally to me within like the Tri-County area. Sound like Dr. Doofenshmirtz, the Tri-County area. So know your area first. Step number two is you have to sometimes do more than just aerial. So I started getting into the interior videography because that's what I do. I do video. And I thought, it's going to be really super easy. It's going to be just like filming for YouTube. And I was really wrong. My first video that I did it for free. It was absolutely terrible. I'll go ahead and play some clips here. And I totally disregarded shutter, framing speed, you name it. Lighting was horrible. I didn't really think about white balance. It was really bad. And I also was using a 16mm lens on a APS-C sensor, which cropped in even more. To top it all off, I was filming in 4K and it even had even more of a crop. So the house looked really small and the shutter had banding from the lights. It was just absolutely terrible. And I had to deliver that to a realtor that I was potentially trying to work with in the future, and they absolutely loved it, which blew my mind because I'm so critical of my work, but they loved it. But they're, you know, obviously maybe they caught the Bandon, I don't know, but it made me think, okay, so if I ever work with this person again, I have to watch out for Bandon. I have to pay attention to shutter speed. So I went on to my next house and I shot the second one for these people, and I was using a very wide angle lens. I think it was a 12mm lens, and I made a pretty fatal mistake. I accidentally touched the lens some point during the shoot, and I had this smudge, which was able to be seen in the video very faintly. Again, once again, only I could see this. I'm sure others saw it. I know for a fact others saw it, but if I had to suggest anything, and if you're not getting the understanding of what I'm talking about, is slow down, wipe your lens, double check your shutter speed, make sure it's double your frame rate, and understand the lighting surrounding you. So those were two big mistakes that I've made, is not check my lighting and not check my lens. I keep wipes in my pocket at all times now, and every time I reset or lay my gimbal down, I'm wiping my lens down to make sure that I don't have any smudges, because once you get back and you're working with this in post, you can't remove things like that, and it's gonna be really hard. It's not like a photo where you can just go ahead and touch it up in Photoshop. You can't really do that with video, so definitely make sure you slow down, wipe your lens, double check your shutter speeds to make sure everything's good. The next mistake that I made was letting realtors dictate when I was going to shoot. Now, this is not really anything to the realtors themselves. It's just they don't know, and you're the professional. You have to tell them when you're going to shoot. You have to pick your times. And obviously from sunset and sunrise, those are some of the best times. Actually, sunset in Florida is the best time to shoot. So you want to get the interior of your house all done and complete before you do your aerials. I always worry about aerials last, because here's the thing about aerials. You can do those even if you run out of time during the day. You can always drive back over to a home and get those aerials out of the way. You don't need a key to do aerials, and you don't need the realtor there when they're done. Matter of fact, a lot of times I ask that they come a little bit later so I can go ahead and either get aerials done right away, or I ask that they leave a little bit earlier so I don't have cars in the driveway. And that's another mistake. You want to make sure that your vehicle's out of the way. If there's a clubhouse or a vacant lot that you can park, go ahead and park. And don't force aerial videography if you absolutely shouldn't. If the area around the house is just not worthy of aerial, don't do it. Don't force it. It doesn't absolutely need it. And that's the hardest thing to understand. I try not to force it if I don't have to, because sometimes it's just best not showing the surrounding place. Like sometimes the house could be on a busy road. You may not really want to divulge a busy road. You know, that's just not really attractive for a potential buyer. This video is going out online, potentially selling to people that can't make it to the house. So be mindful of that. Don't force aerial videography or photos if you don't have to. And my last tip, if I could suggest anything, is whatever color you start with, try to stick to it. I bounce back and forth between all these different videos that I watched on YouTube on how to do this. And people were like, you have to shoot in log. No, I don't shoot in log. And I'm like, what do I do? Do I shoot in log? Do I don't shoot in log? And finally I settled on, I'm gonna shoot in Cine, give me good dynamic range, but minimal color grading afterwards. And that's sort of where I've stayed. I also try not to experiment too much, because the more you experiment, your videos just have a really inconsistent look. And if potential clients are going to be looking at your videos, they may not want to use you because there's too many inconsistencies. They may want a specific look for all their homes. And if you're bouncing around between all these ideas, they really don't have an idea or a vision for their house that they're trying to sell. So if I had to suggest anything, pick a color, pick a style, stick with that style, stick with that color, and offer each client the same thing unless if they dictate otherwise. Otherwise, it's just really hard to develop a brand for yourself. So those were some of the mistakes I've made. I still make a lot of mistakes as I do this, and I'm not an expert by any means, but the biggest thing is learn. Learn from every shoot, watch your footage back, and be critical on yourself, and ask others to go ahead and really look at your work and critique you and criticize you in a positive manner, because otherwise you're just never going to know and you're never going to learn. And again, that's why I think it's important I made this video first, because I don't know a lot and I'm learning, but I'm carefully learning, making these mistakes to make sure that you don't make these mistakes. Because when you see these videos on how to make real estate, you just see this this perfect product in the end, and it's not always perfect. There's a lot of things that go wrong during these shoots. And if you want to make money with your drone, that's great. You can definitely do aerial videography. Try to pair up with a photographer or a videographer in your area that doesn't have a 107. That's definitely a way to do it, but you're going to have to offer them a competitive price to make it worth it for them. Or go ahead, get yourself a gimbal and a camera, or just a gimbal for your iPhone or something. You can start out like that. Offer really competitive pricing, and you're going to have a lot of fun with this. It's not hard to do. It's super easy. And yeah, but if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'll definitely try to answer all that I can. And I'll be putting out a part 2 of how I sort of frame up shots and do my walkthrough of houses very soon. So stick around for that. Thanks so much, guys. As always, stay original. I'm not going to fade the lights this time. I'm gonna shut this off.